Peppa Pig, Peppa and the Flying Vet. Peppa has brought Goldie the fish to the vet for a checkup. "You've got a healthy fish, Peppa," says Dr. Hamster. "Thank you," says Peppa. Suddenly, Dr. Hamster's telephone rings. It is Mr. Elephant. "Hello, Dr. Hamster," he says. "We found a sick lizard in the mountains." It's a gecko, not a lizard," adds Edmund Elephant. "I'll be right there," says Dr. Hamster. Dr. Hamster springs into action. "Can we come too?" asks Peppa. "Of course," replies the vet. "All aboard the aeroplane." "I didn't know you had an aeroplane, Dr. Hamster," says Mummy Pig. "Oh yes," replies Dr. Hamster proudly. "I'm the flying vet." Mr. Elephant spots the aeroplane in the sky. "Thank goodness," he exclaims. "The vet is here." When Dr. Hamster lands, she calls, "Where's the sick lizard?" "This poor lizard is upside down," says Dr. Hamster, flipping it over. "There, he's all better." Then Dr. Hamster's mobile phone rings. "This must be another emergency," she says, answering the call. "Hello, Grandpa Pig here," says Grandpa Pig. "It's Polly, she's sick." "I'll be right there," promises Dr. Hamster. So Peppa, George and Mummy Pig jump back into the aeroplane. "Look, Polly, it's the flying vet," cries Grandpa Pig when he sees the airplane. "We're going into the sea," cries Peppa. "This is a seaplane, Peppa," says Dr. Hamster. "We can land on the water." "Polly has been ill since we got on board," explains Grandpa Pig. "She must be seasick," says Dr. Hamster. And when Grandpa Pig puts Polly on dry land, she soon feels much better. Dr. Hamster's mobile phone rings again. It is Daddy Pig in his office. "There are some ducklings stuck on our roof," says Daddy Pig. "You're just in time," says Daddy Pig. "Mrs. Duck laid her eggs on our roof," says Mrs. Cat.
Meow.
"And they hatched," adds Mr. Rabbit. "But the ducklings don't know the way to the pond." "Who can make a quacking noise?" asked Dr. Hamster. "Quack, quack," says Peppa, and the ducklings follow her back to the pond. Dr. Hamster's phone rings for a fourth time. "Is it another emergency?" asked Peppa hopefully. "Yes, that was Mr. Hamster," says Dr. Hamster. "I'm late for tea. Must fly." "Thanks for your help," everyone cries, waving her off in her airplane. "No problem," Dr. Hamster calls. "It's all in a day's work for the flying vet." The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's busy day. It is 7 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 7. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Peppa wakes up. "Time to get up, George," cries Peppa. It is 8 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 8. At 8 o'clock, Peppa has breakfast. "Yummy," says Peppa. Can I have some more, please? It is 9 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 9. At 9 o'clock, Peppa and George go to playgroup. Dinosaur, says George. It is 12 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 12. At 12 o'clock, Madame Gazelle takes everyone for a picnic lunch. I love picnics, says Peppa. It is 2 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 2. At 2 o'clock, Mammy and Daddy Pig pick up Peppa and George in their car. Toot toot! It is 3 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 3. At 3 o'clock, Peppa and George go to the playground. Swing time, shouts Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit. It's 6 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 6. At 6 o'clock, it's time for dinner. Pancakes, cheers Peppa. They're my favourite. It is 7 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 7. At 7 o'clock, Peppa and George get ready for bed. Time to scrub and brush, says Peppa. It is 8 o'clock. Move the big hand to the 12 and the little hand to the 8. At 8 o'clock, it's bedtime. Mammy and Daddy Pig come in to say goodnight. But Peppa and George are fast asleep. Peppa Pig at the zoo. Madame Gazelle is taking Peppa and her friends to the zoo for the day. Remember, children, today we will be meeting wild animals, she says. Ooh, cry the children. Don't worry, says Madame Gazelle. The wild animals will be safely behind fences. Roar! Ah! A lion has escaped! Cries Madame Gazelle. Hello, I'm Mr. Lion, the zookeeper. You've picked a good time to visit, says Mr. Lion. It's feeding time. Wow. Which animals live here? Asked Susie Sheep. They move very slowly and live to be very old, says Madame Gazelle. Not all animals eat vegetables, says Madame Gazelle. That's right, Madame Gazelle, says Mr. Lion, grinning. Yes, well, says Madame Gazelle, who lives here? Hello, says Mrs. Crocodile. I'm the keeper in charge of this part of the zoo. Penguins, they eat fish. Ah, a crocodile, cries Madame Gazelle. Look, there's my daddy. He's a keeper at the zoo too, cries Gerald Giraffe. Hello, says Mr. Giraffe. Can you guess what animals I look after? They fly and get all their food from flowers. What are they? asked Peppa. Look carefully at the flowers, says Mr. Giraffe.
Flutter, flutter, flutter. Ooh, pretty butterflies, say the children. Thank you for showing us around the zoo, says Madame Gazelle.
Hooray!
All this talk about food has made me hungry. Me too, laughs Mr. Lion. It's our feeding time now. What's for lunch today, Mr. Lion? asks Mrs. Crocodile. Can you guess? Roars Mr. Lion. Little picnics in boxes. Yummy! says Peppa. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.